Okay, but
Cool.
ready? Okay, so where we left off last time was I was right at the end of our first window where I had to choose designers. And at the time, I think we had maybe 5, 7 designers total.
Yeah.
With about 25, 30 images, and they call them designs. So that's where this design bucket right here, it's whatever image is there. And some of them are duplicates like these, like the only difference between this and this is the font.
Right.
The only difference between this and this is like they also showed the back, but really it's not that different. It's all the same one design with just super small variation. So when we took that variation into account, there was like maybe, I don't know, 10.
Yeah, there weren't many.
It just didn't feel enough where I was super excited. And thank God you said, well, let's call the helpline and see if they can extend it, because they're super cool to work with.
They've been amazing. Yeah.
They were just gave all the options, extended it an extra 4 days, didn't charge me anything, and gave a couple other really helpful tips. So I'll share some of those with you as well. So, you know, going from what we had to what we have now, right now what you're seeing is just the top 69. I've already hidden 63 of them because they were so duplicate and or just the super low end. So it didn't really, you know, do enough to like just keep it on. Just made it easier to shrink the available, you know, remaining stuff.
Right.
And so out of all that, you can see in this categorized area, 5 I have not rated yet. There were 9 that were 1 to 2 that just were not hitting enough, you know, for my own personal taste.
Right.
But you know, the majority of these, really like half of them, were in the 3 to 5. Like, hey, you guys are on the right track.
Right. Cool.
Or wow, like I am. You know, 4 is, oh, you're really close, and 5 is, oh, I could use that now.
Yeah.
5 is,
How many 5s?
It's going to be hard to do anything better.
Yeah. Did you have any 5s?
I do have.
I see one. Okay, beautiful.
And then again, you know, the trash can is the ones that I just kind of weeded out, the duplicates, where talking back and forth with the designer, they made some minor tweaks, and as they improved, I removed the older ones that, you know, just had been improved. So I didn't want to duplicate and just have, you know, a whole ton of stuff in here.
Got it.
There are two hacks. Two hacks. The first hack was the help desk had recommended that for any of my designers in here, which the easiest way to find them all is to hit messages. And then all the designers are right here in a row. Okay. So all of these have submitted something to me. So the help desk recommended that I go and click on a designer. We'll just pick this one right here. And then you can go check out their portfolio. Okay. And within their portfolio, you can be like, oh, wow, I really love how you did the Magnificent Years, that book title, those colors, whatever, and then give feedback. So that's one thing that I did that helped spark some extra creativity with the people that were already in the game. Okay. But what I also did was I one-upped it, because that's what I love to do.
Of course you do.
I went out there to the Discover area, and I went out and I started looking at different designers, what was cool, and there's a couple different ways to search for them. And then what I did was I created one little blurb that was short and to the point, which which is this. Let me find one. So here's a great one. So I wrote, and you can write up to 50 designers each day.
Each day?
I don't know if it's total, but it said I could do it up to 50 times.
Okay.
And what I wrote was this blurb down here,
Can
which
you read it? I can't see it very well.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay, thank you.
Let me see if let me sorry make it bigger too. Here we go. So this is what I wrote, and this is how it displays as I write it. So I wrote, I think your art and creativity would be a good fit for my book cover.
Look at you.
Please take a look and read my brief to see if you're interested. Thank you. You know, just kind of short, sweet. And if I, really enjoyed some other of their stuff, I would, give it a thumbs up or comment or maybe add an extra sentence. Oh, by the way, I really love this. Blah, 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 blah. And then occasionally I would get, a hit back, which is interesting. Thanks for the invite. And I added more people even faster that way.
Okay, cool.
And the other thing is that what people are looking at, let's see, let's go here. What people are looking at as a designer when they come to this contest is they're looking at how many 5-star ratings are there now. If they see a lot of 5-star ratings, then they may be a little reluctant to jump in the game.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
I had 1 or 2 people write to me and said, hey, this sounds like a really cool project, but it looks like you already have a lot of activity, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, I wrote back very politely and said, I really love your work. I will definitely keep you in mind on future projects.
Cool.
So that's a nice way of keeping the dots connected. And you can always create a separate little Word document that, you can put these key names in for whatever style that you like them or think that they would work best for.
Okay, cool.
So I thought that was really cool. So that upped the game, from, I don't know, 7 designers to 17 designers.
Nice.
Really, really quick over the course of like 2.5 days. That was a big jump.
Beautiful.
So last time it was really hard to choose. Actually, last time it was really easy to choose. Like within 5 minutes, I knew who the top ones were.
Right.
This one is a little bit harder. I know who the top 4 are, and I have six designers I can choose, and the designers could have done multiple different styles.
Okay.
So that's a benefit, because then you can use different ones from that same person and get other options as well. So an example of that is this person right here, Hayya, did this No Bad Tides, Surfing Strategies for Life, the aerial view looking down, which there's so many people that love this basic design, and I can tell who they are because they don't surf. Like, they love the ocean, they love the beach, they love vacation, but I know for a fact they're not surfers, because surfers are drawn visually to looking at how the ocean folds and moves and the waves and the possibilities that represents versus there's water and there's sand. Right. And it looks like it's blue water, which probably means it's warm. And there's a huge demographic that just people gravitate towards. Sure. And then if you're a surfer, then you're going to get more towards this style of, oh, wow, this one's more interesting. I see like there's movement and other stuff. And then the more you dive into it, the more you get into like if it looks like a movie poster. Oh yes, I want to go watch this surf movie. Yeah. So I'm allowed to choose 6 designers, and the way that I do that is I click the plus button. I've already chosen 6, but one of them's it's like a race for last place, because there's so many people there that last place is really a huge wild card that could be wonderful. So I wanted your take on a couple of these. Okay. So this one right here, Mouse Graphics, only submitted 2 designs. It's really one design. It's this one, and it was with blue or green writing. But it was the first person to show the movement with, squiggly arrows and stuff like that. So I feel like they have the creative edge, but man, they just didn't give much, as far as a bang for their buck. And one of the things that I also did was I looked at each designer to see what their current rating was, because they have 3 basic ratings. You have top level, mid level, and entry level. So top level is like, man, they're on their A game. They're the experts. Mid level is, man, they're trying to make a name for themselves. They want to prove themselves. Entry level is, I'm new at this, but you might be surprised.
Right. Yeah,
And
I like that.
the wild card is if they're a top level, they may already have a bunch of projects and may not have the time available to really do an epic job to surprise you.
Yeah.
So I took that into consideration because I did have 2 top level people that I was not sure about. One of them had the creativity, but not enough compared to some of the wild cards that I thought might be able to utilize that a little bit more.
Okay.
So this one's kind of, I'm not 100% sold on. I feel like this would be an awesome wild card.
I like that one a lot. I haven't seen
I do too. So the 2 that are really the battle is these 2 right here, Studio 02 and Design Maniac.
Let me see.
I wish there was an easy way to see this, but here's some of Studio 2. So Studio 2 did submit a bunch of stuff. There's things that I really love about what they did with, showing the way from the front cover all the way to the back cover.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
They did some other cool stuff with, doing a cutout.
I like that. Yeah,
cool.
I like that a lot.
I like that idea. It looks cool. They did a couple other ones with, just playing with the different waves or adding potentially some smaller sub boxes. I said this particular stuff might look better on the back.
Yeah, that's too busy on the front. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't want to muddy it up.
No.
But I could see effort, going into that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that one it's really a toss up between that one, Studio 02, and let's go to the next page. And this last entry of Design Maniac.
The last entry.
The last entry. So 128 all the way through 132. So there are elements of these that I like. A lot of this is kind of just copying all the other stuff of what other people did for these first couple, minus the font. I did really like this, the difference of, the boldness of, hey, search strategies for life, kind of like a sticker. I think it'd be more interesting if it was like a droplet of water or something like that. But I did like that.
I actually do like that. Yeah. I like the color too.
So that's the trade-off of, yeah, could this person wrap that wave all the way around the cover? Yeah, I'm sure they could. It's not that hard. Could they change the font and play with that a bit? Yeah, they could. Could they tighten this up and make it a drop of water to make it more interesting than just a round circle? Of course, a little coaching. So it's that between this one and the other one.
This one and the other one, the one you just showed me.
Yeah. So all of these right here are Maniac Design. Or Studio 02. Let's see if there's any other Studio 02s on here. I wish there was a way to see all Studio O2 at the same time. Let's go back. So all of these here are Studio O2, like all of
And that's your
these.
favorite one?
Studio O2?
Mm-hmm.
It's a race for last place.
Okay, good. Okay.
It's a race for last place.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have my top 4.
Okay.
And my top 4 come from 3 different designers, and all 3 of those designers have wowed me in a way where it's like, man, if I got to choose one, that's going to be tough, but shoot, maybe I got to, grab their design and incorporate it as a chapter picture or something, because I'm so, in love with their work.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So show
Like,
me.
I want that poster on my wall.
Yeah.
It's the creativity, and matter of fact, I'll show you. Let me go back one page. I'll show you one of them that has really, so this one, Blessed Designs, is top level artist. What they did here, I'll make it even bigger so you can see it even better. If it'll let me. Here we go. I'm gonna try. Oh, too big. Well, what they did inside the No Bad Tides was use a negative space.
Mm-hmm.
So inside
Very
the
neat.
No, it's a short board. Inside the D, it's a long board. So we got different variations of who that's going to gravitate to. The A is a surfer, the B is palm trees. They did try other things, but this is the one that stood out. Like, they did try, because I asked, well, what if you change that I to something else, like surfboard? But it's too thin and and really it comes down, and I like the way that they said this, because we would write back, back and forth. It's like, yeah, I gave it a shot, but it doesn't quite fit. I want to try and stay away from polluting, the visual and over exaggerating in a way where it takes away.
Yes, exactly.
And I think with that, if you look at it as a much smaller image, like it may show up on Amazon as a much smaller image, that eye would just almost disappear and look totally weird.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they gave it a shot. But this is definitely one of my favorites, and it's definitely one of the top 4.
I like that, and I like that they created the space above the surf, which
Yes.
your photo didn't have, and I think that the ones who just use the photo without creating the space above it, and it's not the same.
Right, and they did do a back cover example as well. I think it's on the other page. And I love the picture that they used, simple. This is the older.
Yeah, I don't like that no. The O is too much for me. The shorter border is better.
The newer one is by far better. But that came from, communication. They had to like kick it off and try some stuff. And
right.
So that back and forth dialogue really helped out. And I like how this back is, it's simple. They folded the wave so it comes, together in the center of the book spine. And
yep, that looks nice.
It looks wonderful. It looks dreamy. I like how dreamy it looks. Feels like a different planet.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of them. And let me show you one of my other all-time favorites.
Let me see that black and white one. That looks interesting.
Let me go back. Which one? This one? Or this one?
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah, so hey, man, on a roll for creativity, because I threw out like, hey, I love this, and I'm getting great feedback from people. Do something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Just play with whatever you feel is your own bucket of creativity and try and do some stuff and whatever. And so
I love that. I would like to see the background in like red though.
It's almost like a James. So this one's a little bit different than the other one.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a, James Bond
totally
type feel to it, of an undercover surfer type thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot.
So this person is moving to the next round because they have two other designs that I really, I love.
Cool.
Let me show you where it is.
Before we go through all these in detail, do you want to tell me the other hacks, or were you done with your hacks?
Those were the main ones. Was really, once you go live with your contest,
Yep.
immediately start researching designers if you haven't already.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Or do that up front,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I spent hours going through, and you can filter what's out there by who's online right now, what stuff do they do, what languages, so you can narrow the scope a little faster.
Cool. A couple other things I mentioned was to make sure it was blind, and what that means is that the designers can't see each other's work, so they're all coming to the table with something unique. And we didn't do that properly. We did it as private, which is different than blind. So private means you can't research it and Google find the results, which is good. But blind means the designers can't see it. The other thing that they noted that was important, that I know you took in stride, was updating your brief, because you originally had one track that you wanted to go, and then when you started seeing those, you're like, no, I don't think that's it. So then you updated the brief so the new designers coming in had a fresh perspective of what you were actually looking for at that point. So that's important, because I initially thought the brief was a brief. And as the direction changes, you want to make sure, because your direction will change when you start seeing things, to go back in and make those modifications so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, there's two ways of getting people re-engaged of a direction change. Well, there's three ways. One is respond back. As you can see, hey, there's been a lot of back and forth. And nobody else can see this. This is just between me and that one designer. Nobody else can read their comments between us.
Right.
So that's one way of getting immediate response back. Another way is to update the brief. So if I see that I'm repeating myself often, I'll take what that chunk of information is and update the brief. And the third way is to send a message to the entire team, and it's a one-way message. So I can say, hey, everybody, I just want to, friendly reminder, I've been refocused. I'm shifting away from this. I'm loving this more. So please re-review the brief. And I've changed some pictures and I've added more, that kind of thing. And that really helped out as well.
Excellent.
So I was fine-tuning the brief with almost every response that I would give to an individual designer, so that it helped level the playing field with everybody else and up other people's creativity as well.
Awesome. That's perfect. I'm going to end the recording there, and then we can continue our discussion. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I would highly recommend being either really open to change, meaning don't be so set that it has to be a certain way that you envision.
Can I tell a story about that?
It may stifle the creativity of the designers.
Yes.
So
can we tell
one of the things that I added in my brief was I am requesting this right now, but in addition to what I'm asking for this type of surf setup, please submit your own thing, because you may be designing something so spectacular that I don't know how to ask for that yet.
Yeah, oh, I love that.
So
I love,
that is a really, really wonderful addition to any brief. Because matter of fact, if you start with that, do whatever you do best, designer, with this key information. And maybe do some of this because this is where I think I'm headed.
yeah, I love that. And is it okay if I share the story of where we started?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when we first put Eric's brief in, he had a very visual expectation of what the cover should look like. And I encouraged him to go ahead and submit and ask for what you want. And I'll be clear, I was the same with my design. I had something very specific in mind that I wanted. And I said to Eric, just be open to what can come back. And so when he first started getting the designs of what he asked for, do you want to show a couple of those? Or did you
Yes.
them?
So here's my brief. And one of the things that I did in the first round was I only added one photo of the author. I may have had two, maybe, but I added more
Right.
so that they could get a feel of what my personality is like, so that they could incorporate that style of stuff into the vision.
Right. Good.
So I thought that was really helpful, that I could actually add a whole bunch of those pictures.
I didn't know you could add more than one. It didn't even occur to me to add more than one.
Beats me. I didn't know either until I just started playing around with it.
I love it.
About the author, that's kind of standard stuff. What genres are there, the blurb, all very helpful. The type of audience that I'm trying to get people involved and gravitate towards my stuff, paperback, blah, 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 blah. And picking styles of what is visually, neat for me, or what I think might work for my book, colors.
And go back to colors too. That was another place where you were open. So you really like the blue, but then the last one is a kind of the wild card, let the designer pick, which I think is important. Unless you have a very branded book, I think it's important to have that option as well.
Yes. Creative vision. For me, it's a little harder to choose some of these because I'm seriously playful. I'm very simply detailed. I can make a lot of noise quietly. So some of these are really hard for me, but for others, maybe there is like, no, I want to go this direction for sure. I'm all in, and that may help a designer understand what they're looking for. And this has just continued to grow and evolve. This is the key spot with describing what I was looking for in detail. And I would just continue to add sometimes 2 or 3 words at a time: blueprint, mapping, topography, contour lines, like a reef map, or leadership, coaching, winning attitude, these types of things. I want to capture those fun little symbols. Those are neat. I want to show movement.
Awesome.
All of these things I kept, just adding and fine tuning, much like writing a book and a draft. You got to go back and revise. And as you revise, it makes more sense to everybody else.
Yes. You totally this down.
Right? Yeah. And then, hey, things you should avoid, that you want the designers to avoid. Like for me personally, if it's a picture of a surfer, my ego is gonna just, clap and high five itself if it's a picture of me. And I love that. It doesn't have to be, but if it was an image of a surfer, I would prefer that it be me.
Of course.
Because I have tons of pictures.
Absolutely.
And then, trying not to shrink my audience with specific images. So I had a lot of longboard really great surf shots for my first round of cover stuff. And then I had to really think about that as far as a cover. Would this be appealing to a shortboarder or a body surfer, or somebody that, I don't know, is just learning, or somebody that's been surfing for 25 years?
Right. So let's look at some of those early designs and compare
Sure.
the first ones versus after you talked to 99 Designs and updated your brief and started communicating more with the designers.
So there's a lot more of that that's apparent in here. It's harder to see because all of these have been declined. So they're
declined. Okay.
out.
Sorry.
Harder to see, but within here, it's, man, there's 2 pages of this stuff. There was some very plain.
Can you pull up
There was stuff.
The checkered board one?
Yeah. There was a lot of, my original game plan was very strategic, which I'm very strategic in planning and stuff like that. And I had this like really neat thought of like, oh man, could they get like a picture of me like surfing on a checkerboard with some like chess pieces or something? And yeah, they could. Somebody dreamed it up and was able to actually make it happen. And the longer I looked at it, the more I went, no, those look more like obstacles versus like, I got a plan that makes it easier. So I really had to move away from that. And hopefully I didn't hurt anyone's feelings that put a lot of effort into that up front.
Yeah.
Because I was unclear of my vision at the time.
Right.
So again, that falls back to
but that's part of the process. It's the same with a book. Like you start with one vision and you get into it and you're like, oh, hey, I could go a different way and it would be better.
Right.
There it is. Okay.
So I mean, it's just very difficult to jump on the bandwagon of some of these other designs that were just harder. Like here's a great example of this one. Let's make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah. But so that was exactly what you asked for.
It was they nailed it.
And then,
in fact, I even wrote that. This is very creative. It really hits on my original request. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
And that has such a bigger message too, and just being open to life, like instead of being set in this is how it has to be, just being open to what presents itself and look at, like, go to one of your one of your favorite ones and how it evolved from your specific vision to something beyond your expectations.
Yeah, this right here is just magical. It's just magical. I mean, the use of negative space and the lettering, I didn't even know I could have asked for that. And it's such a wonderful idea.
Yeah, beautiful.
They added fine tuning over time. They added an extra little, highlight light source that makes things pop and look, it looks dreamy.
Yeah.
Looks like a planet I want to go visit.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly how people should feel about reading your book. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. I'm going to end the recording there. So thank you.